financials, and it's, you know, most of the good commercial real estate brokers are CCIMs. They put in the time to do it, and they all speak a common language, which really helps when you read spreadsheets. In my early days, I was a general contractor. That license also inactive. Been a real estate broker since 1988. Owned a RE/MAX franchise, had agents, had all the fun of doing that. And I've been an attorney. Next year will be my 30th year. I've done 20 civil jury trials to verdict, a lot of real estate litigation, just about every aspect you can think of. I'd like you all, I saw that most of you have pens, go ahead and write these down if you would, on a piece of paper. I'm going to ask you a question about, I want to test your knowledge. So, residential, office, land, retail, industrial, and hotel. I'm in your way, thanks. I actually could stand over here, I guess. Yeah. Okay, what I'm going to ask you to do now is go ahead and put a 1 through 6 in the order of risk that you think is associated with each of these properties. 1 being the most risky property, and 6 being the safest property to own. And you don't worry, you're not getting graded. So just give it a shot. Yeah.
Land, riskiest.
Yeah, put it down on your paper what you think.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Don't want to give clues to all the other people, you know.
Oh.
It's been a while since you were in a classroom, I think. And by the way, as I go on, if you have any questions, ask. I'm really good at breaking my stride and answering a question. And a lot of times that helps, particularly if it's on your mind. Okay? Pretty much got that? Okay. So there you go. You with the yellow shirt, you were right. Land is the riskiest real estate you can invest in. Followed closely by hotel, retail, office, industrial, and residential is the safest. It's why most real estate investors start out with single-family homes and then move up to units, because they are the safest real estate investment. This is a piece of land I bought out in Texas. It's 3 blocks from the campus of Texas A&M University. That's where I got my PhD in urban planning. And I just knew 3 blocks from campus that it would have a lot of value. And it turned out I was right. I bought it in 2002 for $12,400. You can still buy lots with prices like that in Texas. And I sold it 3 years later for $74,000. With an average annual return of 115%. Land is the riskiest investment, but it can be rewarded.
Got a question for you.
Yeah.
Would you say it's the riskiest legally, or the riskiest whether it turns a profit or not?
Whether it turns a profit.
Okay.
Yeah, there's categories of risk, financing risk. It's high on financing risk. It's you've got zoning risk, or what we call governmental risk. In the categories of risk, it's pretty much near the top on all of them. About the only area that it's not is, you know, dealing with tenants and occupancy. And as you can see, one of the benefits of the land is you don't have tenants. So I own a lot of land myself because I just got to a point where I got tired of tenants. Unfortunately, it doesn't produce income. It does have minimal maintenance. And the key to land, of course, is being in the path of progress. And that's where the real risk lies. If you're wrong in your guess, you can end up owning a piece of land that basically is valueless. Hotels. Really interesting asset class. They are considered real estate, but the thing is, not only is it real estate, but you're also operating a business. So you've got to deal with things like RevPAR, room occupancy, trying to cross-sell products. So not only are you owning a piece of land, but you've got an ongoing business, and that just adds another layer of complexity to a hotel. And often the asset manager, general manager can run that business really well for you, or they can run it into the ground. Hotel, the owner pays for all the maintenance and repairs. You don't have contributions coming in from tenants to do repairs as you do in other classes of commercial property. It's extremely management intensive, probably the most of all real estate classes. It's extremely competitive, marketing critical, and impacted heavily by the economy. So that is why it is up there at the top of the risk level. Retail. Here's an office building that a client of mine purchased. I helped him buy it. It's out in Colorado Springs, Colorado, across from a super Walmart. Just a little strip center, 6 units. Not a big real estate investment, but for him, of course, it is. The beauty of retail is it's a vanilla shell, so that the tenants do all the interior improvements. You're not required to paint, unclog toilets and those kind of things. The tenant makes the repairs. Tenancies in retail are generally long, generally 5 years or more. But you have problems with retail, which adds to their risk. The aging of the center, the possibility of new centers being created in across the street, for example, and it's also impacted by the economy. The other problem is, here's a chart of square foot of retail per person. When it comes to retail, the U.S. is over retail. We've got nearly 10 times the retail space of Sweden, UK, France, and nearly, nearly 200 times the, 2,000 times the retail space of Italy. So the home of fashion in Italy has way less retail space than us. So that's one of the problems with retail. And if anybody's been to Las Vegas lately, and I was there for the Allen Cowgirl conference, it's just an empty retail center after empty retail center. And that's the impact of retail. So location is critical on retail. Office space, a client of mine invested about $1 million into this property. It was a TIC investment. Any of you familiar with the TICs or been involved with them? This one's now currently having some problems. It's about 500,000 square feet. It had some leases expiring, and here was a big issue, was Deluxe Check had a lease expiring like a year and a half after he purchased into it. And as it turns out, after he bought it, Deluxe ended up building their own building and moving out. And in this economy, that project's got a huge vacancy. Nearly 40% of it's vacant, and that's impacting it dramatically. At the time he bought it, it looked pretty decent. There was still some creeping vacancy rates. And one of the other problems was new construction. So the office generally a little bit bigger markets. Generally, though, it's a little bit more secure than retail because people need a place to do business. There's a lot more business going on than retail. In office, the landlord will generally pay for some or all of the TIs. Generally, there's free rent given out to get tenants in. The landlord will pay the utilities on vacant units, the CAM expenses. These again, they have a longer term lease, but almost anytime you lease with an office tenant, it's pretty well expected that eventually he's going to move. If he's successful, he's going to expand and he'll need more space. And if he's not successful, he'll just fail. Landlord retains some of the repair responsibility, the tenants pay CAMs. And then here's an industrial, what we call flex space. I had a client put in about $600,000 into this. And it's down in a real nice part of San Diego. And the industrial is, I haven't really personally, other than this and a few other things, haven't really gotten into it in depth. But the more I look at it, the more I'm beginning to like it. So he bought this one. It was a $23 million investment price. It was about 100,000 square feet. The nice thing about industrial is the tenant improves the property. So on that one, he has a tenant called XO Communications, and they brought in communication lines to the property and increased the value dramatically.